Deep beneath the roots of an ancient stronghold lies the font of Avernus, a sacred crack in the earth from which the black mist flows, a vapor rich with prophetic power. It is here, in this cavern of shadows and stone, that the legacy of House Avernus was born. For generations, the noble scions of this house have bathed in the mist, absorbing its strength, its visions, and its curse. The mist binds them to the land, making them fierce protectors of their ancestral customs and the font itself. But no one truly understood the mist, not even those who claimed to wield its power. The black vapors whispered ancient truths, elusive and cryptic, but they never fully revealed their nature. And then, on a stormy night, a child was born into House Avernus who would unravel the mystery and reshape the destiny of his family forever. The font was more than a mere spring. It was a living source of energy, dark, ancient, and unfathomable. The mist that rose from the font pulsed with the raw essence of the earth. It whispered to those who bathed in it, offering visions of the future and the power to shape it. For centuries, the font had been the secret weapon of House Avernus, and its children were anointed in its mist at birth. The vapors were said to carry the will of the land itself, choosing its champions and imbuing them with otherworldly strength. But what were the true motives of this ancient power? Even the elders of the house, who prided themselves on their wisdom, could not say for sure. The font was both a gift and a mystery. Every child born to House Avernus was taken to the font shortly after birth, in a ritual that had been repeated for generations. The newborn was submerged in the mist, baptized in its cold embrace. This rite was said to tie them to the power of the land, granting them strength and prophetic insight that would grow as they aged. It was their initiation into a life of war and leadership, for the children of Avernus were destined to lead armies and defend their ancestral lands. But when the infant Abaddon was bathed in the font, something different happened. The mist stirred, and those who witnessed the ritual whispered of strange omens. As the mist enveloped the baby Abaddon, a peculiar light flared in his eyes. It was not the dim glow of a typical newborn, nor was it the gentle flicker of prophetic visions. This was something much sharper, a spark of comprehension that startled the sacerdotes attending the ritual. The black mist seemed to react to the child, swirling more violently around him as if recognizing a kindred spirit, or perhaps something far more dangerous. Whispers spread quickly through the house. Was this child a blessing, chosen by the mist for a higher purpose? Or had something gone terribly wrong in the ritual? The elders, unsure of what to make of the event, chose to wait and watch. From an early age, it was clear that Abaddon was unlike the other children of Avernus. Where his peers embraced the traditional path of warfare and discipline, Abaddon found himself drawn to the font's mist. While others honed their skills with swords and shields, he would spend hours in meditation, inhaling the vaporous tendrils that rose from the cracks in the earth. The elders, who had once held high expectations for the boy, began to grow uneasy. Abaddon's obsession with the mist seemed to distract him from his duties. Some said he was neglecting his responsibilities, shirking the training that would make him a worthy leader of House Avernus. But Abaddon was not idle. As he breathed in the black mist, he began to understand it in ways no one else had before. He could feel its power coursing through him, connecting him to the land and to something far deeper, something ancient and unfathomable. Traditionally, the children of House Avernus were trained to be warriors from a young age. They were taught the ways of battle, strategy, and leadership. Every generation, one among them would rise to lead the house's army in defense of the ancestral lands, a duty as old as the house itself. It was an honor and a burden that each child was expected to carry. Abaddon, however, showed little interest in this path. While his peers sparred in the training grounds, he would be found near the font, breathing in the mist, seeking its wisdom. His family grew concerned. Without proper training, how could Abaddon lead them when the time came? The black mist of the font was calling to Abaddon, and he could not ignore its pull. It had become more than a fascination. It was an obsession. The more he meditated within the mist, the more he felt it becoming a part of him. Its whispers were no longer faint and elusive. They were clear, direct, and filled with knowledge. The elders watched with dismay as Abaddon distanced himself further from the family's expectations. They whispered among themselves, unsure whether to intervene or let him continue. He was, after all, the child of prophecy, the one marked by the strange light at birth. Perhaps he was destined for something greater than they could understand. As Abaddon's obsession grew, so did the discontent within House Avernus. The elders accused him of neglecting his responsibilities. They feared that he was abandoning the path laid out for him, the path of a warrior and leader. Abaddon, however, remained unbothered by their accusations. He knew that the mist had chosen him for a reason, and that reason was beyond the understanding of his elders. Still, the tension within the house was palpable. Whispers of rebellion and betrayal began to circulate. Some believed that Abaddon was leading the house down a dangerous path, one that would lead to its downfall. The once united House Avernus was now divided. On one side stood the traditionalists, who believed in the old ways of war and leadership. They feared that Abaddon's obsession with the mist would lead the house to ruin. On the other side were Abaddon's followers, those who believed in his vision and trusted in the power of the font. The conflict within the house was growing, and with it came the threat of external enemies. House Avernus had many foes, and they would not hesitate to strike if they sensed weakness. The time for decisions was drawing near. Then one fateful day, the enemies of House Avernus came. They struck without warning, hoping to take advantage of the house's internal strife. The warriors of Avernus were caught off guard, unprepared for the sudden assault. Chaos reigned in the stronghold as the enemy pushed forward, seeking to claim the font for themselves. But in the midst of the confusion, Abaddon emerged, clad in dark armor and wielding a blade infused with the power of the mist. He rode into battle. His eyes burned with the same strange light that had flared in them at birth, and the black mist swirled around him like a living thing. As Abaddon fought, the power of the mist flowed through him. He was no longer simply a warrior. He had become something more. The mist granted him mastery over life and death, allowing him to heal his allies and strike down his enemies with terrifying precision. Those who witnessed his power were awestruck. The enemy forces faltered, unable to withstand the might of the black mist. Even the elders, who had doubted him, could no longer deny that Abaddon was something far greater than any Lord House Avernus had ever known. The battle ended in victory, and House Avernus stood triumphant. But the elders, once so quick to criticize Abaddon, now remained silent. They had seen the power of the mist firsthand, and they feared what it might mean for the future of their house. In the aftermath of the battle, Abaddon found himself changed. The mist had shown him visions during the fight, visions of the future, of the past, and of the true nature of the font. He realized that the traditions of House Avernus were misguided, that the warriors of the house had been protecting something they did not understand. The mist was not a mere tool for war. It was a force of its own, with motives and desires that went far beyond the concerns of House Avernus. Abaddon knew then that he could no longer be bound by the customs of his family. His destiny lay elsewhere, in uncovering the true purpose of the mist. But even as Abaddon embraced his new path, questions remained. What was the mist? What were its true motives? Was it a benevolent force, guiding him toward some greater purpose? Or was he merely a pawn in its grand design? The more he learned, the less certain he became. As the font's power grew within him, Abaddon found himself torn between his duty to House Avernus and the strange new path that the mist had laid before him. Was he still the protector of his family, or had he become something else entirely? With the elders silenced and his enemies defeated, Abaddon made a fateful decision. He would leave behind the expectations of his family and set out on a journey to uncover the secrets of the mist. The font's power called to him, and he could no longer ignore its pull. As he ventured deeper into the mysteries of the black mist, Abaddon's power continued to grow. But with that power came a growing detachment from his humanity. The mist was changing him in ways both subtle and profound, and he could feel it. He was no longer just a man. He was becoming something more, something darker. Just as Abaddon began to unlock the secrets of the font, A new threat loomed on the horizon. The enemies of Avernus, defeated but not destroyed, were regrouping. They had seen the power of the Black Mist, and they were determined to claim it for themselves. As Abaddon stood on the brink of understanding the Fawn's true purpose, a new war was about to begin. Would Abaddon be ready to face this new threat, or would his pursuit of the Mist's secrets lead him to ruin? The future of House Avernus, and perhaps the world itself, hung in the balance.